Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk a bit about naturally preventing pregnancy. It's hard sometimes for men and women to communicate about this, and men and women both aren't educated very well in the natural way of preventing pregnancy. I'd say the first thing would be investing in some natural condoms. There are alternate solutions that are better for your partner and better for the environment, better for yourself, that are plant-based, and they don't use many nasty toxins or chemicals on the condoms, because the woman's vagina basically takes everything in that she feels that comes in, all the toxins, all the chemicals, and it goes right into the bloodstream. So really investing in some natural condoms. This is Jonny brand, which I found right in my local health food store here in Sydney. And in the United States there's a brand called Sustain. Another way is if you are monogamous with a long-term committed partner and you both have been tested for STDs and you know you're both safe, there is Smart Women's Choice, which is not a spermicide. It is a formulation from a woman in California, and you insert it before sexual intercourse, and it will coagulate the sperms to prevent penetration in the egg. So, Smart Women's Choice, based in California, or natural condoms. These are natural remedies for preventing pregnancy. I'd say also communicating with your partner and finding out what her cycle is like, because if she should kind of know a general area of when she's ovulating, when she's more likely to conceive, and when she's in the safe zone of conceiving a child. For women, I'd say trying to get away from the hormonal birth controls, as it disrupts your system and it's unnatural and you lose track of your own fluctuations in life, because your cycle will change with time. It'll change with the events in your life, with your emotions, with what you're going through. And I think that's a very important thing that we've lost in modern society, is really syncing up with our moon cycles, our menstruation cycles, and with the women around us. So a menstruation cycle is a moon cycle, and most women get their periods on the new moon, or they could get it on the full moon, and it represents different things for each woman in her life. New moon periods are signifying a lot of new beginnings, new cycles in your life, and you're working towards something, and you're actually more ready to conceive a child. And when you're on a full moon, everything's coming to you, and it's a different energy cycle, and you're not likely to have a child at that time. And paying attention to the new moon and the full moon, they're 2 weeks apart. So if you have your period on the new moon, once you see the full moon, you are more likely to be ready to conceive a child within those next 2 weeks before the new moon comes again. And there will be a certain window of ovulation after the full moon where you're more likely to conceive. And the first 2 weeks of your cycle, which is the first day that you start bleeding until, say, the full moon, you're less likely to conceive on those days if you have your period on the new moon. If you have your period on the full moon, the first 2 weeks of your cycle, you're less likely to conceive. Once the new moon happens, then you're more likely to conceive a child. I think it's really important for women to start educating her natural cycles and rhythms with herself and with the earth and the world and the women around her, instead of taking a hormonal birth control pill that disrupts her natural cycles and disrupts the earth inside herself. There are ways to naturally prevent pregnancy: educating yourself, communicating with your partner, and being aware of your body, of your environment, and how you take care of yourself. And if you and your partner are both on the same path, because ultimately you should be having sex with someone who you could see a future with and could see raising children with. Because if you're having sexual intercourse with someone you don't see yourself with and don't see yourself having a child with eventually in the future, you're messing with your emotions, you're messing with his emotions. And I think that sex is a very sacred thing that we should be more educated on, more communicated about, and more supported between you and your partner. So those are my tips for naturally preventing pregnancy. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.